And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jeff Whipple, a member of the digital learning team here at ASD-W, and welcome to Tech20 Tuesday. It's been an interesting day, and thank you all for joining us. And it's over the last few weeks, we've taken some time and looked at a little bit and sort of scratched the surface of AI and what it can do, artificial intelligence, what it can do inside of education for teachers and students and a whole bunch of other things. We've looked at some tools. We've looked at some of the possibilities for generative AI, what it will create. And today, in the next few weeks, we're actually going to talk to some teachers and how they're using it, because I think that those teacher stories are really, really powerful. And today, I'm really excited to let you know that Joel Gallant is with us. Joel is a skilled trades teacher at Leo Hayes High School. And he's been using AI for a whole bunch of different things, but I think the thing that really attracted me most to Joel's story is how he's using it for assessment and to create some assessment tools. I'm not going to steal any more of Joel's thunder, but I'm going to invite him to step forward. Joel, thanks for joining us, and go ahead and take over.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. Hi, everyone. I teach primarily skilled trades at Leo Hayes High School, grade 10, 11, and 12. I teach Introduction to Woodworking, which is kind of our version of Applied Tech, which is now Intro Skilled Trades. And I teach mainly electrical wiring. That's my background as a licensed electrician, and spent some time in industry for about 15 years and started teaching at Leo last year. And jumped kind of right into the what is assessment stuff as we were transitioning as a school to the 1 to 4 scale. The kind of beginning, developing, applying, mastering of outcomes-based assessment. So it was a big shift to my understanding of percentage grades and things like that. But it was nice because as a school, even though it's rocky, we're all kind of learning this together, and we kind of jumped in at the beginning. But that question about what is outcomes-based assessment and how do we do that for our courses really drove me to drink for a while, and then it drove me to AI when I kind of heard about ChatGPT through a friend. So I primarily use ChatGPT, the browser version, and I've kind of gone all in, and I have one of the paid versions now, the lowest version of the paid stuff. Primarily, I used it for its PDF capabilities back when it was kind of first out with Ask Your PDF plugin. But now on Chat 4, it has a linkable thing in there, like attaching on an email almost. And so that's native to the whole thing now, which is great. I guess I wanted to start by showing, and Jeff, I don't have a share option, but is my screen just kind of shared normally? Is that what's up with kind of how all this works? Or do I pick an individual pane to share, I guess? Oh, there we go. Cool. Ask and you shall receive. So I guess I'll just share my whole thing with you, as messy and clunky as this can be. So I'll share with where we kind of started. So in Applied Tech, we mostly focus on woodworking here at Leo Hayes because that's what our infrastructure supports. So we have a really nice woodworking shop. And what we kind of walked into was a pretty generic thing for our projects. We have a Q1 and Q2 project, or Q3 and Q4, whatever you want to say, depending on the semester. And this folding table was their first thing they do. So we knew already what we're looking for with this kind of a rubric. And, when you're marking, you teach 3 or 4 sections of a course, you're marking multiples of 20. So marking 60 or 80 folding tables, you want to find an efficient way to do it. So this is what we started with. We had something like milling a board down to a thickness and a surface. We use templates for a lot of our stuff because it's an intro course. So we're looking for template accuracy. How they're aligning their screws, how deep they drive them, do they glue, do they clean up their old glue, distribution and kind of symmetry, aesthetics, how they're finishing their stuff with, is it smooth, is it all dinged up, is there pencil on it, and their ability to work independently. And really, we're kind of going from this, we put it out of 60, we got a percentage grade, and then we're able to kind of move on. And, going 1 to 4 has really changed a lot of that stuff because, now we're marking, across, what's your proficiency in this outcome, and we're looking at different vocabulary to kind of build our understanding of students' understanding. And it's a lot different. And one of the most successful things that we've done, and this is the Beach Chair, which is a very similar thing. They do a second quarter project. This one kind of, goes beyond what the first one does. They're hopefully gaining new skills, learning from their mistakes, but same issue, still at a 60 and not really able to follow that scheme. And so what we did was we came up with, eventually we came up with this, and this is pretty comprehensive. And this kind of represents a couple steps in between. But we were really able to refine this using something like ChatGPT. And I don't make things pretty necessarily. I'm learning or aesthetically pleasing, I'll say. So this is kind of rough, but it's very, very useful. It's a little intimidating at the beginning, but it works really well. And we have kind of the same things we are looking for before with milling and cutting, template accuracy, assembly, but now we're putting these things into this continuum, and we're trying to assess their skills, and their proficiency, I guess, in all of these different ways. And so we're seeing with milling and cutting, was there evidence of planing? Were things maybe unequally planed? The boards are planed within a 16th of an inch, or the boards are planed equally. That's a really easy thing to observe and assess when we're looking at something physically, tangibly in our hands. And then we're able to place them kind of on this continuum. And we kind of go down the list, and eventually you find that students would have, maybe they're scoring a 3 in some of these things, maybe they're scoring a 4, maybe they made some sloppy mistakes and they're delving into this 2 or the 1 category even. And we kind of take this whole thing, we printed it on legal, so they're pretty big sheets. And then we go ahead and we, essentially assess the project in its entirety. We have some applied skills right here, like, were they on task? Are they being safe? Are they working well with others? Is their cell phone always out? Because that's one of our safety absolutes. We assign them a grade. We can give a little comment, and then we kind of give some, areas to improve or strengthen. And that we had no idea what to do. I mean, I won't lie to you. That was a really intimidating thing to have to come up with. And no one said this is what you have to do, but we really wanted something that was going to be substantial and also efficient. So how we did that was we actually used chat, and I figure probably the best thing to do would be just to do this together almost in not really like a mock way, but I just shared the wrong screen. Just kind of like trying it out, and then also a couple different things that we've tried with chat that had some good success. So I'm gonna wish this thing would go away. So outcomes-based assessment. I have conversations with chat and it spits out answers, and this is one of them. Do you know much about outcomes-based assessment? I forget when exactly this chat started, but it was a while ago, and it had good knowledge. And of course, we can kind of zero shot this. We could just say, build me a rubric, but really and I assume that this has kind of been talked about a lot in these sessions, is like really the power of ChatGPT is providing context. And then, with the degrees of context that you assign, we call that a one-shot, a multi-shot thing. And the more context you give it, the better responses it spits out. So we went for a back and forth. Can you create a rubric for a particular course using curriculum created by the Department of Education, New Brunswick? So getting really, really, really specific. Are you familiar with this course, electrical wiring? So this wasn't for applied tech, but this is for my other course. And I said, can you read PDFs? And because I have a PDF of that curriculum document, and I was like, I wonder if I could do this. It couldn't at the time because it hadn't had the functionality for Ask Your PDF yet. I asked him if it was good with the 1-to-4 system, and it says, oh yeah, it gives me a whole big explanation. And then I said, okay, build an outcomes-based assessment on the 4-point scale. The outcome being assessed is the context of electrical wiring 11. The task is to install electrical boxes, run wire, install receptacles, wire the panel. Altogether too much stuff for a rubric, but this is where I was starting. It also I didn't even ask it to do it, but it made it in this table. And I figured out that that's kind of one of the ways that it spits out information. You can request it to spit it out in the form of a table. And so this was really where it came from. And we would take, what it did, and it was assigning all these different things. And at the end of the day, I can just kind of like copy that whole selection, jump into Word, start a new document, and I can paste it. And then all of a sudden, oh crap, this is not looking like a table at all. And sometimes there's just issues with the way that it does it. So what if I took this whole thing and copied and pasted like this, went to that new document again. And now I can change the way that it's done, so I can merge my formatting, and then you can kind of like select this table and you can format it however you want to do. You can format your table properties and all this sort of stuff, make it look like the way you want. But the most powerful thing is I can just get it to redo it. So I could say to it, reorder my columns to be 1 to 4 instead of 4 to 1. I could say put my 1 to 4, across the top or on the side. I can change vocabulary within that. And eventually we get out to these quite well done rubrics. And this was kind of the first, one of our first attempts for skill building. And so we really didn't even have any categories inside of here. We had implied categories if you kind of read across these rows. But one of the things that we saw was, we can probably tune up or tweak the way that we do this. So really building those rubrics was one of the best ways that I use it. And the other way, and I know we're short on time, and so I don't want to take too much of it, but there is a way to actually kind of make this thing watch videos. It can't, but there's a way that you can. So this is a video that we use a lot in applied tech as well. It's about 12 table saw mistakes, and we're talking about safety with respects to table saws. And if you didn't know this already, YouTube typically transcribes their videos, not all of them, but some of them. And if you scroll down to the bottom, past the description, past the key moments, past the featured playlist, you'll see this thing called show transcript. And in the transcript, it typically has timestamps with everything. If I clicked here, it'd bring me to this point in the video, and this is the words that he's saying. Well, if I untoggle those timestamps and I was to select all of this text, then actually I can paste all of that text into ChatGPT. And I said, this is a transcript of a YouTube video showing table saw problems. Make 10 questions for students to answer as part of a safety unit. This is where I am. This is their age group. Number the questions 1 to 10 and include 4 possible answers per question. So a multiple choice question quiz kind of thing. And there's a reason for that. Be sure to include the 12 worst mistakes and not miss any. And then it started to do this. And I was like, wait a second, I didn't give the transcript. Are you ready? And it makes mistakes all the time. You just have to catch them. So I pasted the entire transcript in there. And then it started to develop its own questions. So obviously I would go through and make sure that this is done, but assuming that this is all correct, one of the ways that we can kind of take it after this is, what if I went and I copied all these questions and I put it into another Word document. I don't like the way that did it. I'm going to do it just like this. And then I'm going to select all my stuff, and I hope it's going to work. I'm going to make this into numbered questions. Perfect, and it did. So I'm going to call this table saw mistakes, and my spelling is atrocious, and that's okay. And then I'm going to go back into Chrome, and I use forms for a lot of stuff. It auto-marks my things. And one of the ways that you can actually do a quiz is you can quick import something. And so if I quick import a Word document and I format it like I did, where the questions are numbered and the potential answers are, let's have to see where I save this, OneDrive. The potential answers are lettered, then you can actually make this thing generate a pretty good Yable saw mistake. There it is. In use, of course. We can make this thing make a pretty decent quiz. So I want to make it a quiz, and it's going to convert it. And then hopefully I'll be really, really close to be able to assign this. I'll start the review of this. And look at that. So it automatically recognized my question because they were numbered and my answers because they were lettered. And if I go down and just verify that everything was here, all that's left for me to do is select which one is the proper answer and assign some points to it. And then I can kind of just, I'll say 1 point for that question. And let's just say this is the right answer. And then I can go and assign this inside of my teams in my class. So if I went to my intro skilled trades and I started a new assignment, I'm sure this is kind of old hat for lots of people here. And so it's a really quick way to do this kind of thing. And I've done that before, you know, when I've got a video that maybe didn't have a lot of people watching, but I wanted to increase the engagement there. Or maybe it's a quick way to do a supply teacher lesson, because we can't let supply teachers take our kids into the wood shop, but they can do video work a lot of the time. So it's a really efficient way to do that sort of stuff. So rubrics and that sort of stuff is one of the ways that I use ChatGPT, and hopefully that was helpful. And you know, we always refine our stuff. It's a good starting point, but I a lot of the time get stuck starting. And so sometimes my stuff doesn't look just like ChatGPT made it at the beginning, but it was a really good place to start from. And then I can kind of go from there. So that's how I use it.
Wow. Yeah, a couple of comments. Wayland commented, "Love the import mic drop." Like, so I saw something new that you hadn't even shown me before. So that was really cool. I loved how you took it from a Word document or created that Word document right out of ChatGPT. That's pretty cool. So I am going to stop the recording, but if anybody wants to stick around just for a second, and we'll make sure that Joel can answer your questions. If you have anyone, you can throw it in. But that is Tech 20 Tuesday for this week, and we will see you all next week. We are going to have a special one next week. So we'll see you then.